Welcome to the Southern California PGA Catalyst Series, brought to you by PXG. Get ready to transform your game. With PXG, you'll experience exceptional quality and innovative technologies that produce real, measurable improvements on the golf course. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining the Catalyst webinar series presented by the Education Committee for the Southern California PGA. We're very excited to have Mr. Tyler Cope joining us from Golf Genius. Tyler is the account manager for the West region and is going to kind of twofold. He's going to educate us on the wonders of Golf Genius, some new products that they're offering, and also some application efforts. Tyler, good morning. Thanks for joining us this morning.
John, thanks. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So what we've got here is, as we talked about before, this is the Catalyst webinar series. We've got an educational presentation that Tyler's going to put forth for us, and then we'll open it up to some Q&A. We'll also ask some extemporaneous questions along the way if they're relevant to Tyler's presentation. But without any further ado, Tyler, take it away.
Great. Thanks, John. Let me change my screen here and just make sure that you can see this okay. Perfect. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, thanks again, John. Thanks to the section for allowing me to spend a few minutes with everybody today. Wanted to just, as John said, go through a few of our products that we offer, and then we'll dive into some of the features that Golf Genius has. Kind of wanted to touch on some of the features that kind of fly under the radar a little bit, but we've been working on recently. So give us an opportunity to learn a bit more about those if you think that you can use them in your tournament operations. And then we'll also talk about match play handicapping towards the end, because I think that that's been something that's come up since the beginning of 2024 when the World Handicapping System, USGA, adopted a change for match play handicapping. So it still comes up often. Okay, agenda-wise, like I said, we're going to go through a few of our products, just a real high-level overview. We're not going to go in depth for many of them, but just to highlight what we offer. We'll talk about some Golf Genius features that we've released recently and some that are underutilized, in my opinion. We'll also cover the Golf Genius certification program. So something we've rolled out over the years that's really given an option to those out there to do a deep dive into Golf Genius in some areas where they may not always use Golf Genius. So, and then a Q&A at the end, or if there's questions along the way, feel free to ask those as well. So, Golf Genius products. So I think that one of the common misconceptions out there is Golf Genius is just the tournament management software only, right? Over the years, we've done some mergers and acquisitions with some smaller companies, and we've created some divisions within Golf Genius. So you see kind of some of the logos. Obviously, our main platform is Golf Genius Tournament Management. So everything from registration to scoring to printed materials, use of the mobile app. For those that use Golf Genius, you're very familiar with that. The second product that we created internally was a golf shop product. And what that was is really just kind of started out as a spreadsheet on steroids almost. It's evolved into kind of a multifunctional product that covers a lot of different things that people may not be aware of. So the original intent was for us to be able to enter special orders that we take in the golf shop, be able to track those, be able to send out communication to our members, Hey, I ordered this driver. Great, it's on the way. Hey, it just arrived. I can come in, pick it up. We've added a lot to that over the years. We've added things like the ability to track demo clubs. So for those of you that do have demo programs, a lot of those clubs go out the door but never come back, and that's a true cost to us. We've added a scheduling piece, so there's a integration with Pop Schedule that you can actually use to schedule your golf department. So there's a lot of things in the golf shop product that we've continued to develop over the years. It's become a pretty popular program. Trip Manager. So that's actually how the software first started, was really just a solution for small groups or buddy trips going to, 3, 4, 5 day trip. And you didn't want to have to worry about creating pairings and setting up different games and scoring. So we actually created a Trip Manager product that we still have today. We still offer it as a B2C solution. So for guys that go out to Bandon or somewhere else and they need some live scoring, but they don't use the full Golf Genius platform, there's a Trip Manager option out there for them. Op 36 or Operation 36, that was one of these companies that we acquired a number of years ago. But for those of you that aren't familiar with what it is, it's really a beginning golfer program that you can implement at your facility. We provide the content, we provide the lesson plans. There's a mobile app for it, but it's really done the right way, where you actually start from the green and you work your way back. So the idea is you start from a certain range, you get a score of 36, you graduate to a farther distance away, you then try to accomplish again a goal of 36 or less, and then you keep extending that backwards. So you kind of work from the green backwards versus, kind of what most of us do sometimes is we start with the full swing and then kind of work forward. So that's a division of Golf Genius. Coach Now, that's another evolution of an internally created product that started with Coach 360. We acquired Coach Now, which actually encompasses a lot of coaching even outside of the golf space. But we had some features in our app that we developed that we merged into the Coach Now app. So it's kind of an all-in-one coaching platform. So you've got not only video capabilities with, be able to draw lines and highlight certain things during the coaching period, but we've got the ability for players to create profiles. There's a communication piece to it. There's a scheduling piece to it. Actually, there's going to be an integration also with Gin, so players can kind of pull up their scores and show their improvement as well. So it's kind of an all-in-one coaching platform that now exists under the Coach Now product. And then Twilight Golf, again, this is another division of Golf Genius, but for those that aren't familiar with what it is, it's remotely managed leagues. So what I mean by that is we have a team that will fill your tee sheet for underutilized inventory in the evening. All you guys do is you just contract with Twilight Golf. You say, here's your block of times. We run everything. We provide the scoring. We provide the league management. The players show up. They pay their guest fees or their green fees with the intent of obviously driving more revenue to the course, plus, driving some revenue towards F&B and maybe golf shop purchases as well. So it's really kind of a hands-off thing where if you are operating a facility that has some underutilized inventory towards the evening time, this might be a solution where you could have us register players, get those players organized, have them just come to your golf shop, show up, pay the guest fees, and they're out on the golf course.
So Tyler, real quick,
Mhm.
being with you're a tenured employee with Golf Genius, you've been with them for 8.5 years. You're a certified PGA professional in golf operations. Did
Yeah.
you play a hand in building these peripheral products, if you will, like Twilight Golf, like Operations 36? Can you talk a little bit about the genesis of those programs and how how directly they benefit the PGA member?
Yeah, so some of those that I mentioned were acquisitions, right? They were companies that existed before, and Golf Genius didn't build them from the ground up. So we acquired them, Twilight, Operation 36, Coach Now, and there's a couple other consumer apps you see, Golf Shop, Swing You. So personally, I wasn't involved in any of those. I've been on the tournament management side of things since I started back in 2017. But I work on our teams that end up developing a lot of the features that we see in the tournament management side of things. These are more products that were acquired through acquisitions. But as far as benefit in the PGA professional, Operation 36, gives that person the ability to create a program, not only increase their revenue from the standpoint of bringing more people into their classes. Same thing with Twilight Golf. It's filling a tee sheet where there's underutilized inventory as far as tee times that may be not being used. So there's things product wise that benefit the PGA professional. Obviously, the Coach Now, if you're utilizing that product and you're able to generate more lessons through the scheduling tool, I mean, those are all good things that help the PGA professional.
Thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions on that, John? Or
No,
okay.
very much.
All right. So, what have we been up to recently? So, as I mentioned, I wanted to kind of go through a couple things that we've done recently that sometimes fly under the radar. I think a lot of times what happens is we get into the mindset from a tournament operation standpoint that we got a group that comes in or we have a tournament coming up. We just want to get the players onto, in that event, print some materials, get them on the course, score it, and some of these other things that really could be used to enhance the experience for either that group or the membership sometimes don't get utilized. So I wanted to go through some of these things. So over on the left, it's more of what we do on the tournament management side of things. On the right, it's more on the mobile app side. So we have the option now for team logos. So those of you that run, high school or collegiate events, it's a nice touch to be able to put that up on a TV display. For our Canadian friends up north, we created a draft option. So you can actually have teams be built through a live draft. You'll see that here in a second. We've done some enhancements around our Ryder Cup leaderboards to really make it stand out. For those of you that run either a Ryder Cup style event, President's Cup, whether it's maybe a one-day interclub, you can do some cool stuff to really make that pop on the leaderboard on the TV display. Another feature we just released, round signups with custom fields. That's a big one for us. It took a long time, but it was a highly requested feature. We'll talk about that. Another one that a lot of people don't know about is we developed pace of play functionality for the USGA. And out of that came an option where we can utilize the mobile app to generate checkpoint times that you can then monitor pace of play through a Golf Genius event. Automatic score posting is another one of these things that we've done recently to help automate some of the processes for managers out there. And then I'll touch on a Golf Hub global directory that can offer additional way to kind of help promote market events that you might have at your facility. Then on the mobile app, changing tees. So we've given, or you can control now that players log into the mobile app and can change their tees. So for those of you that run any kind of leagues or weekly type of game that people just kind of roll to the tee and you may not know what they want to play that day, we give the people the ability to change their tees before they start. And then new feature around text messaging, and then a couple other ones that have been around for a while, mobile ads and mobile banners. So as I mentioned a minute ago, logos. This is just kind of a test event that we have, but you can see as this animation rolls through a collegiate event that has both team scoring and individual scoring, we can put logos next to both teams and the players. And this is our standard TV display. It does show up on the mobile app if you're looking on the leaderboard. But high school events, it's a cool thing to show. Collegiate events, if you host those at your facility. And then we also see a lot of leagues using this as well. So you might have a summer league team wants a logo, we could put it on there. You can do this, and I haven't really seen too many do it yet, but for some of our member events that we want to take pictures of the member team, you can actually put those pictures onto this team logo area and have those pictures show up. So I've seen a few people out there do that, but the primary use is really logos for teams, colleges, leagues, etc. So kind of a cool feature. Team draft. So as I mentioned a minute ago, this was developed for our Canadian friends up north. We created a draft option that you can have teams be built on a couple of different elements. One of them, it was really designed to be based on rankings from a previous year. But there's also use cases out there where we want to be able to show or draft in a kind of a live fashion, how do we add these players to this team? So you can see over on the left, we've got captains, and then we've got the players on the right. One option is simply just to go in and click the players and add them to their team. You can see there's an auto pick option where you could just let the system do it. So it's kind of a randomized draft, so to speak. One of the things that we'll end up working on at some point is be able to put that up on a TV display. So if you're sitting in a room with a bunch of guys or a bunch of players, you can have the draft kind of roll on a TV display so it's visible to everybody. Right now, it's kind of more of a back-end manager thing that you're seeing. But this is one of those features that doesn't necessarily get communicated to our North America to the US user, but it's something if you're interested in using it, just contact us and we can enable it for you. So as I mentioned a minute ago, kind of these enhanced Ryder Cup leaderboards. This is an example of that. At the top, you can see that we've got some larger text. We showed point totals for each team, but you can also see next to the team names down below, we have logos next to them. So we're kind of utilizing a couple of different features here at the same time. We've got team logos, and those are obviously displayed in the top left and top right as well. We can do 3-team Ryder Cups. I don't feel like they're that common here in California, but it's definitely an option. You can show 3 teams up there. But this does show on a TV display. It shows on the leaderboard on the mobile app. Shows on the manager side as well. This is just a feature under the event profile that you can click to have any kind of match play point summary display like this. Round signups with custom fields. So for years, we've gotten feedback from users that run leagues, like a men's group or a ladies group, that needed to capture certain information on a week by week or round by round basis. Previous to this, the only option really we had that a lot of people used was what we just called round signups. And all that really did was just allow somebody to indicate their intention on the upcoming round. Do I want to play or not? But there's a lot of use cases out there where round by round, we may need to know something like, hey, is there an optional skins game that people want to get into? Or is there an after golf function lunch meeting that we need to ask those that sign up, are they interested in attending? If so, could we do something like lunch selection? So if there's a group of players that are going to stay for lunch after golf, we need to know what they're going to eat. We can print this out, send it to F&B so they have an idea of what to prepare. Another common case is players can change tees week by week, and being able to poll our players as they sign up, request that information so us as the manager has an option to be able to go in and then utilize that information round by round. This one took a long time to develop, but we finally got it out there. It's we've seen a lot of use since we rolled it out a month and a half ago. We still need to make some changes, but this was a pretty big one for us, and seen a lot of utilization so far. Pace of play. So as I mentioned earlier, this was originally designed for the USGA and for them in their championships to monitor pace of play and be able to generate checkpoint times as players pass certain checkpoints on the golf course that managers or volunteers could then relay to players what their position was. We took that a step further because a lot of clubs, associations wanted the ability to generate these checkpoint times, but don't have the resources to have people enter this. So like some group walks off the third hole, they may not have a volunteer to be able to sit there. They may not have enough on-course staff to be able to enter this information. So what we did is we came up with a way to generate these checkpoint times through the use of the mobile app and players entering scores. So what you can see here at the bottom is what looks like a lot of data, but it's all generated based on players entering scores as they progress through each hole. So you have checkpoint times for every single hole, and it's no different for the players of what they do. They just log into the mobile app and score like they normally would. It's a one-click button on the manager side for you to do this. Obviously, it's unofficial timing because it's very possible that somebody finishes the hole, tees off on the next one, gets halfway down the fairway and goes, oh, whoops, I forgot to put our scores in for the last hole. And then all of a sudden, it looks like they're way out of position. But generally speaking, we can see trends here, or you can utilize this data over a period of time to identify potentially slower groups. The use case you're looking at here is a club down in San Diego, and actually, I didn't think about this, but he gave me a good example of where this came in. Men's club, they're allocated so many tee times per day they play. They were able to utilize this information and position their faster players at the beginning and take this to the golf course and say, hey, our groups typically play this fast. You guys are allocating us, say, 10 tee times in the morning. Can we get two more? Because we know that we can go a shorter interval in the first two to get out a couple of more tee times because these guys are going to play much faster first thing out. So they were able to utilize that data, take it to the golf shop and say, hey, these guys, here's their average pace of play. Can we get two more tee times, right? You can go two intervals at 8 and then go 10 for the rest. And they were able to do that. So again, unofficial timing, but kind of a cool thing that, again, a lot of people may not know. This is something that needs to be enabled in your account. So if it's something you're interested in using, just don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Tyler, how bulky is that to set up from a 7 and 8 minute increment tee sheet, 10-minute increment tee sheet? What do the golfers, the groups themselves need to do? They
Nothing.
don't have the manpower on the course.
You mean as far as setting this up here from let's say the golf professional standpoint?
Yes.
Very easy. You just have to have pace of play entered into your course details in your Golf Genius account. The pace of play option over on the right, where you see that little hand right now, that's what needs to be enabled. Once that's enabled and you have pace of play information entered into your course, then you can essentially toggle the functionality over to what we call passive, and it's no different from the player side of things. They get and do the same process they would of entering scores on the mobile app, and as soon as they hit save on a hole, it generates a checkpoint time. So it's very, very easy for both the golf professional who's setting it up and the players. The players really see no difference than what they're doing now. Don't know if that answers your question or not, but
Yeah, and this is included in the premium.
correct. It is a premium feature only. Obviously, with the mobile app, that is a premium feature only as well. So those that are using the TM Club version that is provided through the Southern California Golf Association, they would need to be using the premium version to do this. But we've seen those that have enabled it really start to utilize this data that they didn't have before. All right, another smaller feature that we rolled out. This was actually something we did for Twilight Golf, but we enabled it or made it available for all users. It's another automated feature that is trying to reduce the number of things that a manager has to do after the round. So for those formats that are qualifying from a score posting standpoint to GIN for us here, we can set up where at 11 p.m. local time, that's dependent on the time zone set in your account, that scores from a round will automatically post to GIN. So you can set up the score type, and it's primarily used in leagues, where you've got a group that plays. They might enter scores. I've got a club up north that runs like 3 or 4 leagues a week, and they have consistently asked for something like this where they could do their scoring and they don't have to remember to go into post scores. It does that automatically. So this is one of those things, again, needs to be enabled, but another example of kind of what we're doing from an automation standpoint to try to take some of the workload off of the golf professional setting these up. All right, I touched on this briefly, but I wanted to go through it because I think there's some real value in what we have created as calling a golf hub for all Golf Genius users. So a little bit of background to kind of bring everybody full circle. What Golf Hub was and is within an event, there's a Golf Hub area where you can create, let's call it a digital flyer or kind of a cover page that's digital. And the intent was, hey, let's allow people to create something quickly, modern looking, and let's allow them to share that easily, whether it's social media or other areas. The end goal was to create kind of what we're looking at, which is what we're calling kind of a global directory. So there's a specific web page for this, and I'll jump over into a kind of a live version here in a second, where you can take these pages, these cover pages that we create for certain events, and if you want to help push those out to a larger audience, so from a marketing standpoint, promote a league or a clinic, you'll see here in a second that some clubs have actually taken it where it's not even golf related. They're publicizing and promoting and marketing these events to this larger directory that really anybody in the world can search. So when we rolled this out, we had to be careful because we wanted to make sure that we had enough inventory because the clubs are really the ones that are responsible for this. As we've gained more and more inventory from clubs creating these Golf Hub pages, we've then created this directory that you can choose from a simple click of a button. Do I want to push this event out to this larger directory? And so I'm going to just toggle over here real quick to kind of a live version. So it's got its own web page, and we're doing some search engine optimization to make sure that if somebody goes to Google and types out golf events, this is going to be one of those things that pops up at the top of the list. But let's just use my zip code down here. So Lake Forest, right? If I want to type in and find something that's in my area, whether it's a league or a clinic or city championship, maybe anything that's been created and published to this larger directory shows up. And I can go anywhere. If I wanted to go up to kind of Oregon to see, hey, what's going on in Bend? Okay, I see there's a couple of different things here. If we scroll back down to kind of where we're at, we can see over here on the left these different pages that have been published. So some of them, club-wise, have published these, whether they're junior events, like I know that Jeff runs this one. Other types of things we can join. Here's an example from Harris Creek that they have created a golf hub page that almost has nothing to do with golf. They're promoting their facility events where it's brunch. There's like a taco event that they've created. So this is a way to create something very, very easily, couple minutes, publish this to kind of this larger directory and get more eyes on it. You can see Twilight uses this a lot. So kind of no matter where you go, you can see that there are Twilight golf pages. You know, here's an example of a Monday night league, right? Registration, what it includes, when it starts. We manage the whole thing. All we need is just the availability for those tee times. Everything else is remotely managed. So again, another way for for Twilight to market and promote their leagues across the U.S. I mean, you can almost go in anywhere and find Twilight stuff. They even like might not be too much going on in Florida, but I know they run a lot. Like here's a Twilight Golf in Florida, the summer league. So it's kind of a cool thing. And this is not just the US. We've got people over, you know, in the UK that are setting up golf hub pages. So it's worldwide. Like I said, we're working on doing some search engine optimization. So those that are looking for golf events or leagues or clinics in their area can go to Google, search it, get to, you know, ideally get to this page here and see some of these events that are in your area that you might be interested in joining. All right, I'm going to switch back over here. Okay. All right, mobile app. So a couple things that we've done recently and a couple of underutilized features in the mobile app. One of them was the ability for players to change their tees. So I'll let this kind of run here, but what you'll see is when the player logs in as they normally would, the manager is given them the option to change their tee or tees. You can actually change course, holes, front nine, back nine, 18, and tee. You control what they can change, but it gives the flexibility to the players that if you as a golf professional don't know what they're playing that particular day, we can just set everybody up to a certain tee, let them change that tee before they tee off, and then they're off and running. You can see here that we've also did some work that shows different tee colors if we've got different tees being used in the group. But a lot of control to the player for something where, you know, this is kind of a challenge. If you don't know what tee somebody's playing and they show up 10 minutes before and they say, oh, I'm going to play the blue tee. And then all of a sudden you got to run back, change their tee on the tee sheet, maybe print out a new scorecard. This just kind of handles it all in one place. And again, there's certain use cases for it. You know, maybe this kind of roll up type games you have on a weekly basis. It's kind of more the typical use case for something like this. Text messaging. This is one that really doesn't get utilized very often, but we made a small change with a pretty big impact not that long ago. In the premium version, we have the ability to send text messages. So this is one of those things where if you have an event, one of your larger events, you want to utilize text messaging to welcome to players the night before, right? Hey, welcome to this event. You know, thanks for participating. Here's information about tomorrow. What I've created here on the left, and I'll kind of zoom in a little bit, is a text message that can be saved as a template utilizing data fields within Golf Genius. The idea with this is you can create a text message that's general enough that you don't have to go in and change information if you want to send this one over and over and over. So we can create templates for text messages that then show up like this on the right. So it's personalized to their name, shows what event they're in, who they're playing with, what hole they're starting on, what time. The change that we made that was awesome not that long ago for both text messaging and emails was that the GGID, and that's used for live scoring for those that may not know, that needs to be entered in the mobile app is now a clickable link. And it does two things. One, if you click on that link from a text message or an email, if you don't have the mobile app, it will direct you to the appropriate store and ask you to download the app for your phone. If you have it on your phone already, the cool thing is when you click on this link, and we call it a deep link, what happens is that it pulls up the app and it logs you right into scoring. So you don't have to remember to go back to a email previous to this or look at the GGID on a report or a scorecard, then go find the app in your phone, pull it up, then go back and type out that GGID. You can simply just click on that link and it logs you right into scoring. So from an animation standpoint, you'll see this here. If you click on that link, it pulls the app up, logs you right in, and you can go right into scoring. So it makes it easier for those that use this to have players not have to remember GGIDs, may not even need to put them on certain reports or scorecards. Some facilities don't even use scorecards anymore. They just primarily use the mobile app for scoring. But that's been done through both email and text messaging. But a lot of people don't utilize the text messaging feature right now. That's included with the premium version. And you can really do some cool things to enhance the player experience. You could also, in some cases, not that we have a lot of weather here, but I know that they've used this in certain cases if you've got a delay of any kind, whether it's, rain delay or fog delay, you can shoot out a text message hour and a half before and say, hey, we're delayed by, 30 minutes or 45 minutes for fog or rain or whatever it might be. Easy way to communicate to the field quickly. And people obviously read their text messages a lot quicker and read more of them than they do emails. Their phone vibrates or they hear it, they look at it, and it's right there. So something to consider if you're not utilizing that and you have the premium version. It's definitely a cool thing. This one's underutilized, but we have the ability to do what we call mobile ads or mobile banners. So in the mobile app, you can create, and you'll see at the bottom of this here, a banner that's been created. You can create one for each hole that you can highlight sponsors. You can put some images on there. If you've got a group outing that wants their logo all over the place, you can do it on the bottom. You can also do it in between holes. So you could have 18 different pages that show up in between holes. You can run a promo like for the golf shop. I've seen people also put on the mobile app, this next hole is cart path only, just as a reminder for those that are using the mobile app. This one is underutilized. It's been around for a while, but if you have group play that really wants to highlight sponsors, etc., this is a great way to do it. Okay, match play handicapping. So I'll go through this somewhat quickly. Back in 2024, beginning of 2024, World Handicapping System, in what the USGA has adopted, made a change to two different formats only for match play. So 4-ball match play for us, it's those season-long match play or brackets, our typical member guest, 5 9-hole matches, Ryder Cup formats. So 4-ball match play and foursomes were two formats that they decided needed to be changed from an order of operation standpoint, but they didn't change things like singles match play and scramble match play. Not that scramble match play is that common, but they didn't do a good job, in my opinion, of communicating that. So a lot of people kind of learned on the fly about these changes. From a 4-ball standpoint, the biggest change was kind of order of operations and where off lowest is applied. And I know it's a little bit hard to see up here in the top right, but this is from the rules of handicapping. With an allowance, this is their example, index, then you have the unrounded course handicap. The change was that off low is applied at this step, then the allowance is applied, then it's rounded. Now in Golf Genius, we give you the ability to go into the handicap analysis and see player by player or team by team how that playing handicap is being calculated. You can see that what's highlighted here is where that change is reflected in that order of operations. So
That must be an ongoing challenge for you at Golf Genius, where the USGA came up with this stroke allocation change, basically, call it rounding, if you will. And then you, to service your client, had to cope with that, no pun intended. But then you also had to take the brunt of the customer dissatisfaction from the clubs that had the frustration and not understanding the logic behind the change.
yeah, I mean, for those of us here in Southern Cal with SCGA team play, that's where, obviously popped up and became, well known, I guess, for those that do team play. But yes, I mean, to your point, we still get questions on this because people still think that, it's course handicap, allowance, rounded, then off low. So we're still answering these questions. We're kind of in this unique position where we're almost play kind of an education piece, because you've got the governing bodies like, USGA, World Handicapping System, and then we've got our local Allied Golf Association, SCGA. They typically have been the ones that, communicate these changes to their club officials or club officers and or handicap chair people. Then they, in turn, communicate that down to their members or their participants. We have this kind of weird position where we run these events, people set them up in Golf Genius, they see these handicapping changes and it doesn't match what they think it should be. And so we have to kind of educate them on these changes where they didn't come across the change, this change from for whatever reason. And we get this from all over the place. Doesn't matter, it's not just here in California, it's everywhere. So it's been something pretty common. I think some people are starting to kind of understand this change. I think the harder piece, I'll cover that here in a second, but it's just why is there a difference, right? Why is there a difference between formats and match play? There's two that changed. Obviously, it's 4-ball alt shot. You can see that what we have here is a team alternate shot foursomes, basically set up. Allowances are being applied, but then again, the unrounded team handicap, the low, is applied to the other team, and then it rounds once. So that was changed, but then I think the harder part for people to kind of grasp was what didn't change. Well, from a singles standpoint, you can see that it's kind of the quote unquote old way or the pre-2024 logic where you calculate out their course handicap, even if you were applying an allowance, that allowance would get applied, and then it rounds, and then off low is applied. So you can see here that the low player is a 13 applied to Todd, who's a 15. So Justin becomes a 0 and Todd becomes a 2. And that's kind of the harder part, I think, for people to grasp is like there was a change for a couple formats, but not necessarily every match play format. Same thing with scrambles. Again, not that a lot of people play scramble formats, but you can see here that the team handicap is being calculated. It then rounds, and then off low is applied to that rounded number. Yet in foursomes or alternate shot, it's different. So, and to throw another wrinkle in it, middle of last year, the USGA came out with additional guidance for those that play individual match play and 4-ball in the same round. And you can probably take kind of a guess where that came from. Team play. So the USGA put out guidance that said if you are running these two formats in the same round, you can choose to use the same order of operations for the singles matches that you do for the 4-ball matches. And there's a setting in Golf Genius, you can see that down below, where if you're playing concurrent 4-ball individual match play, you can use that same order of operations by just toggling that over to yes. Okay. Golf Genius Tournament Management Certification. So this is something that not a lot of people know, and I wanted to highlight it. We have a certification program, and what it does is it provides kind of a baseline understanding of Golf Genius software. For us that work in certain facility types, whether it's private, whether it's public or resort, even when you get onto the association side of things or a PGA section, they all kind of function differently. And if you've only worked in the public space, you may not be exposed to some of the formats and things that can be done maybe on the private side. So what we did is we came up with this program that really is kind of a deep dive into the software. It's a 3-level self-study program that you do at your own time. Level 1 is just kind of a foundational introduction to the software, creating pairings, printing stuff. Level 2 is a little bit more advanced. You get into, and this is where some of the benefit comes, that you might end up learning about features in Golf Genius that you would never use in your daily operation because of the facility you're at. That's where it starts to get into some cool stuff. And then level 3 is the practical side of it, where you actually submit a mock league or mock events to our staff that get graded, and that you have to pass that in order to become certified. And what are the benefits for us as a PGA professional? Obviously, it's a resume builder, right? You can put that on your resume and say you're Golf Genius certified, and that then translate industry wide to say, okay, we know that this person has gone through this type of training and has this baseline level of understanding. Because I always say, if somebody comes to you and just says they have Golf Genius experience, I say, well, what does that mean? Right? Does that mean that they've just ran 4-player gross scrambles for 3 years and that's their Golf Genius experience, and they need to now run and set up a 5-round, 9-hole match member guest invitational? They've never done it before. So when you have Golf Genius certification, that gives you the title of certified, knowing that you've gone through the same baseline level of of uh, of knowledge that everybody else has. There's also PDRs available, so another benefit of going through that program. Right now, the cost is $599 to go through that program. I think we give you about a year or so to go through that, but there's obviously exceptions to that along the way. So if you're interested, you can reach out to me. We do have a website. On our website, you can actually get to the certification area that explains a little bit more about the program. So I know we almost kind of covered the whole hour. If anybody has questions, happy to answer them. I did want to put my email address out there, so if anybody wants to reach out directly, please feel free. Happy to answer questions, or if you saw something that you want to have enabled in your account, happy to do that for you. Not sure if any questions have come through or if anybody has any questions, but happy to answer any that anyone might have.
It doesn't look like there's any questions on the question box or in the chat, but on behalf of the Education Committee for the section, I want to thank you, Tyler, for coming on and putting on this educational webcast. The PGA members that are on this morning's call will get 1 PDR credit for attending. We're also going to send out the recording of Tyler's presentation with his contact information out to the attendees here shortly, so you'll be able to contact Tyler with any questions or inquiries that you have about Golf Genius tournament software, or any of the products they offer, or just his presentation in general. Tyler, thank you so much for joining us this morning, for putting this together. We appreciate the volunteerism. We appreciate you coming on and teaching the section about Golf Genius. It's a wealth of information, obviously very important to a lot of us in servicing our members and our clients. And we appreciate the time and are grateful for the education.
Yeah. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity, John, and thanks for the section as well. So
All right. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
thanks. Take care.